Thank you for your pledge on Patreon. Buck one.
Hey, yo, Flip.
Yo.
I'm going to put you on to some fire, man. They got this new beard wash company. They got the lotion and the everything.
What's their name?
They got a recovery room.
What's the name?
Maestro's Classic.
G-Money's up front.
I'll put you on.
I'll put you on the Maestro's,
sure?
man. You forgot where I brought you? You forgot where I brought you up there?
Oh, man.
You forgot about Ghost?
All right. What's his name?
Ghost, you know again?
He cool, man. Yeah. Ghost is cool, man.
Yo, make sure you get your Maestro's Classic beard care products today at Target, CVS, or go on maestrosclassic.com and use the promo code QueensFlip to get 10% off.
10%, that's it? I thought it was free if you put your...
Are you crazy?
All right, okay.
Make sure you go there today. Log on, maestroswithas.com. I'm from Queens. G-Money.
Yo.
What's up, man?
What's good?
A lot of things going on, man.
Feeling good?
I'm feeling all right. I got my notes today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I have my notes, too. You see my notes today?
I saw your notes, but let me put my notes on my laptop. You know what I mean? I got my notes.
You learning, man.
Well, you know, a lot of people don't like, y'all be hating on me. You don't want to share notes. But how you doing, man? How's your week so far?
Everything's good, man. Shout out to my cousin Takeem. You know what I'm saying? Today's actually the day. 3 years ago, he passed away. You know what I'm saying? So I was with the fam just now. You know, shout out my aunt Sharice. Everybody, we had a little joint. Family. Yeah. It was a good time though. It was good.
Good to see everybody.
Yeah. Good to see the family. You know, Kaya, baby, shout out to her, my cousin. You know, she takes it the hardest. I feel like out of the whole family, like that's like her little brother. You know what I'm saying? So me seeing her kind of like break down off the rip, you know, I had to go cheer her up, make sure she was good, and you know, we had a good time. We had some laughs. We had some talks. A nice big family prayer in front of the building. You know what I'm saying? So it was dope.
Gotcha, I appreciate it.
You know what I'm saying? Shout out to him. And on a brighter note, shout out my cousin Shaka one time. His birthday was the other day. You know what I'm saying? He's a big fan of the show also out in D.C. area.
Thank you.
So shout out to him. You know what I mean?
Shaka, yeah. I ain't looking at your notes, bro. I ain't looking at your notes.
You look at the notes? Go ahead.
Is he? Is he cool? Yeah, he is. He is cool already. Yeah,
I had to see.
Yeah. But everything is good though, man.
Yeah,
you know,
how you feeling?
I'm all right, man. You know, the interviews that we've been doing, you know, has been just, you know, we got to understand that. I want the people to understand that there's in no way we're trying to promote any sort of like cause any issues.
Please talk about it.
We just allow people to tell their story. And before we get to our next guest, because he was on time and he's patiently waiting, but you know we got to do our intro. But just want to say that to the people out there that, you know, we allow people to come up here and tell their stories. You know, if any story is inaccurate or if you feel a story doesn't add up, you know, you should deal with the person that's telling the story, not the people that's doing the interview. We weren't there. We didn't see. We would love to be there. But
we wasn't even born half the time these stories are going on.
We wasn't even born half the time the stories are coming out. So,
or we just, you know.
But, you know, that's the people for you.
Yeah.
You know, that's society. Society takes something little, and they blow it out of proportion. But I support everybody, and I wish the best for all the podcasts and the people all the guests. I still support them. I just don't want to have nothing to do with any nonsense.
That's a fact.
Because that's not the message that we're trying to, you know, convey to the audience.
100%.
G-Money!
Yo.
What's up, man? How you doing, man? You all right?
Yes.
Are we able to curse?
Yeah.
I'm joking. I'm just bothering you. I just wanted to hear the voice. G-Money!
Yo.
Episode motherfucking 114.
Nigga, we made it.
We got a special guest.
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
Smooth.
Yeah, smooth guy.
Smooth criminal over
Did the
there.
research on him. My man. How you doing?
I like New York.
George Martorano, anybody? Round of applause again.
Let's go.
You like New
I
York?
like New York.
How's everything, George?
I can tell you stories about New York before you were born.
Oh, please. No. Oh. How's everything?
Good.
You looking good.
I'm home a short while from 32 plus years in prison. I went away a young guy, came home an older guy, a nonviolent first offender, didn't even have a parking ticket for cannabis. And the word cannabis wasn't even around back in that day.
Wow.
On your indictment, it said marijuana. So, you know, I sort of like, without me saying it, but many others have told me around the country, I paved the way for what's going on today with the cannabis industry.
But before you continue, you know, we definitely like to take it back. You know what I mean? We like to know who is George.
Yeah,
Right, G
for
Money?
sure,
Like,
for sure.
You know,
Like,
we like to know who's George as far as like a child because we want to know about you, who you are. G?
Well, I grew up in a very ethnic neighborhood. Matter of fact, the block in the 20s and 30s, the block that I was raised in was called Gunman's Row,
Oh.
because if you people had businesses that had money owed to them, they would come down to Gunman's Row and they would go in these hangouts and they make a deal. So, and I come from like, for instance, when I was 2 years old, there was a guy named Benny the Gimp. He was a gangster. He used to carry 2 long-barrel 38s, but he liked to take me to eat ice cream. For some reason, he liked to see me eat ice cream and get it all over me, and he would laugh. And my mother didn't want to give him to him because, you know, she was scared. She was only young. Back in them days, your mothers, you know, they got married pretty young and started having kids pretty young. And, well, make a long story short, one day a car pulls up and blows Benny away. I was right there in the stroller, and my mother she ran out of the house and took me in her arms and got me out of there. But I was 2 years old on a lamb because the detectives were looking for who was the baby in the stroller. So that's how far I go back with neighborhoods that were very characteristic.
what neighborhood was this though?
My neighborhood, it's called Bella Vista. Bella Vista in South, well, I wouldn't say South Philly per se, but near South Philly, Bella Vista.
South Philly. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you recall that incident happening when you was in the car, or that's a story that they told you?
No, I was a child at the time, but
Yeah.
I was the youngest child on a lamb, 2 years old. So, and you can go on and on. The stories are unbound, and my father, they say he was a gangster, and you know, well, he had a bad ending, but he did the best he could with the little he had, and that wasn't me. Like I said, I was a nonviolent first offender, but I took an awful lot out of the 32 plus years that I did. 5 years of that was in solitary, and it was totally legal what they did to me. They kept moving me around, kept me locked down for a long, long time. But I didn't count. I learned how not to count the days, the weeks, the months. I used to just count the Christmases. So you count the Christmases, it's much easier.
So talk about now. You know, you're 2 years old. That happens. You know, how was your childhood after that? Like what else kind of, you know,
Well,
kind of things
childhood
you went into?
was good. There was roof over the head, food on the table. But in those days, you worked. If you wanted a little something extra, you worked, and I always worked, and I can remember a little when I was 9, 10 years old, I had my first business. So my neighborhood was. Back then, you remember the movies, these movies would open up. We would see the horse and wagons in the neighborhoods. Well, my neighborhood actually had 3 stables. So I was a little kid, and I used to go get ponies, especially warm weather, spring and summer and early fall, and I would sell pony rides. So I was like like a young kid making $50, $60 a day. That was an awful lot of money. So everyone worked. Everyone worked.
I have a question for you. You seem like you're being kind of modest. And what I mean by that is because your father, you know, he was his name Raymond. They call him Long John, right?
Well, prosecutors called him a gangster's criminal's criminal.
Criminal's criminal.
Yeah, they labeled him a criminal's criminal.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that when you were younger, do you remember him being around that vicinity, the mob type thing? Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was a way of life. It was a way of life for certain families. A way of life, but
respect.
You didn't feed into it much because I wasn't a kid that traveled. I wasn't a family that we didn't go to cross country. You know, that was the neighborhood. That was it. So That's the way you were raised. But you paid attention to it, but you didn't really pay attention to it because it was a way of life.
Now, some people, you know, as far as like, you know, growing up in certain situations or like their family being part of gangs and things like that, they kind of like grow into that, you know. So what kept you away from that lifestyle? You know what I mean?
Well, I just felt that back in that day, if you had a family member that was in the mob, whether you had an uncle, cousin, that was enough. So that, you know, you lived off of his respect and reputation. So all you needed was one in your family. But today I got a little different. Like I said, I don't pay attention to it anymore. I just feel it's not the way to go. You know, it's not the way to go anymore.
So all right, so that happens. You grow up. What is the teenage years like for you? You know,
When I was a teen,
yeah. What was that like?
well, again, like I said, you went to school and you worked. You worked. It was always at work. You always had a little hustle. This big movie coming out, it just came out, The Irishman. I heard it's a hit, even though it's a very, very long movie, and it talks about Jimmy Hoffa and his demise. Well, guess what? It wasn't for me. It wouldn't have been a movie because I okayed the gentleman who wrote it. Okay, Frank Sharon. I okayed that, and we were in federal prison. But let's go back to the question you say when I was a teen. Well, I'll give you a scenario. Everybody's dead now, so I don't care about talking about things because everyone's dead. Well, I was there when Jimmy Hoffa gave the wrong answers. I imagine it was a meeting, and I looked at the news like everybody else. 2 weeks later, he was gone. So I was around a lot of stuff at a young age, but again, I didn't pay attention to it because it was a way of life.
George, stop it, George. Come on, it's okay. You know, you passed the life, but you paid attention to it, George. Don't act too cool for school, man. You paid attention. You knew about it. We did our research on you.
Yeah, you're right.
They called you the cowboy. We know everything about you, George.
Just I was more interested as a teen in going around to get a girlfriend.
Okay, but first of all, real quick, you know, excuse me for being ignorant. Who was Jimmy Hoffa? I don't.
Jimmy Hoffa was head of the Teamsters, and it's a big FBI mystery today that his body was never found. They spent millions over the years, millions. I think over the years they kept saying he was buried here, and the FBI would come and spend a ton of money to try to find it, and they never found it. And that happened like 5-6 times over the years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you said that he answered the questions wrong. What questions are you referring to?
I don't know. I wasn't there, but I imagine he answered them wrong because 2 weeks later he was gone.
So you saw him. You knew him.
I mean, that's how close I was to that serious life.
Yes.
But, you know, I try to get away from the castle than play into the castle.
But did you really try to get away from it as a kid, or you?
Yeah, because it was a way of life. So my godfather and my father did, you know, it was always everything was serious all the time. So as a young guy, you wanted to get away from the seriousness.
What was your mom take on everything that was going on?
Excuse me?
What was your mom's take on everything that was going on at the time?
Well, she was an old school. You played the hand you married into.
That's real.
But my father came up from nothing, so he didn't just. He came up from nothing. I mean, his family, his parents used to in the summertime. Him also with his siblings, they used to go pick in New Jersey. They used to go pick vegetables in the summer and live in these little shanties. So he came up the hard way.
So you understand why he, because when I did research on your father today and I watched, you know, a mini documentary when they walked past where he was gunned down. They said that he always had money. So do you understand why he thrived to maintain, to get money?
Well, he
because of
had
his
money
hard-
when he became older in life, but as a young guy, he struggled.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, my location, my Hip Hemp Cafe, ladies and gentlemen, Philadelphia, hiphempcafe.com, everyone can see it. I have a 200-year-old well. 200-year-old well on display. I'm the only business in America that has it. It's level with the floor. It has a lot of history. It's called Bootlegger's Well. And my father, as a young kid, used to make money running pints from the bootleggers from there. So I building wind up coming to our family many, many years ago. But we had heard rumors about this well. Well, no one ever saw it until I did construction to open up the Hip Hemp Cafe. And sure enough, there's a well there. It's like 30 feet deep, and it was used to run off the stills when in the Prohibition time. So my father was a young guy trying to make a few dollars to, feed us. So it's symbolic to me, but it's called the Bootlegger's Well.
Real quick, because I'm gonna move off the subject, but when I did your father, last question about your dad. Your father, when did he sort of like try to keep you away from the life that he lived, or you were close to you? If you understand what I'm saying, I don't want to say he brought you into the life.
He wanted me to get an education. I had a full scholarship to Temple.
Oh,
That I didn't even pay attention to.
because you was caught up in the life.
Trying to catch him. You think you good?
Instead of going to school, I went up there and selling weed.
Oh,
Yeah.
So I had plenty of opportunities. But
Okay, but he wanted you to get an education. So
he
Pops
wanted
wanted you to get an education.
definitely wanted to be like. You see, people don't know in America. There was Jewish mob. There was Jewish mobs, also with Italian mobs, and their children all went on to become doctors, lawyers, and so their mob life was wiped out. Matter of fact, Philadelphia was the last city that have a Jewish mob boss.
But I
His
always
name-
heard that, but I never.
Willie Weisberg was the last Jewish mob boss in Philly. So, but their children went in
to get education.
education. Well, the Italians were not so good in that move.
Do you remember how you started getting into the weed business? Let's get straight into it.
Well, I was a young guy. Your teen, everyone goes through. In your teens, everyone goes through some mental anguish. Every teen goes through it. So you either, drink a little, do something that you're not supposed to be doing. Well, I ran across marijuana, and it was my escape. Forget my troubles, and I started. I don't know, 15, 16. And from then I smoked, and then I sold it, and then I went to prison for a long time. And I sustained. Even though there was drugs in prison, marijuana prison, I didn't do it because I had a lot of responsibility as a mentor educator. So anybody does time, once you lose your credibility with staff, you cannot, help as many as I did. So 30-some years, 32 years go by, and I come home, and I went home not too long before I indulged.
Now, real quick, you said you started smoking marijuana because you had some troubles. Before that, you said it seemed like you had a pretty nice life set up. So, like, what kind of troubles did you?
Well, not troubles, documented troubles. Anguish, mental anguish. All teens go through. So
like
you
bullying.
You need that escape. you know, you need to forget your troubles.
You were getting bullied around that time in school, or
No. You just every teen, you know, you want.
He just knows how to answer questions.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
He just know how to answer questions. Well.
He said trouble. I'm trying to figure out why.
You're not gonna divulge into. You're good. I give you the credit. You're good, but you're not. I'm catching on. You're real good. You're real good. You're not gonna answer. We know you didn't fold. I read it. You didn't fold. We know that the judge might have gave you a hard time because you were in. You know, I guess because of who your father was. You're a man's man. I salute you. But even by watching you, how you answer questions, we know you're positive. We know that you push the positivity. But in order for us to know who George is, we ask these questions.
Well, George, it's the stories. I'm a river of stories. Number one, but the stories. My message is, I hope people get something from what I say to help them
Positive.
in their lives.
Understood.
That's the most important thing.
Positivity. Why did they call you the cowboy?
I hate that name, but I'm glad you asked that question, young man, because the FBI gave me that. My indictment came down and said George, a.k.a. Cowboy Martorano. And I acquired that name hanging out in Texas. It just so happens that a lawyer called the bar I was hanging out, and the lawyer his phone was already tapped, and they needed actually to give you an AKA, it has to be federally recorded. So they give me this title, Cowboy, which made me look to the judge sort of like a wild type of cowboy. Well, anyway, fast forward to today, I'm branding under that name. Hemp Cowboy. I'll be branding CBD cartons of cigarettes with my face on it. So that's a message I'm going to give a lot of people coming out of prison. Don't come home with a chip on your shoulder. Take negative, making it positive. So you will be seeing the Hemp Cowboy.
Buddy, yeah. So you were hanging out in Texas, and then that's how you got that name. Question. Can you bring us to the day that, because they said that your and I'm going to ask you these questions. They said that your network at one time was worth $75 million.
A year. For 3 years. So add it up. Your words to the listeners' ears, I wish it was true. But it's not.
It wasn't true.
No, it wasn't true.
That was...
There was two cases basically in America history. Was Freeway Ricky Ross, where the CIA was giving him the crack, the cell in L.A. Mm-hmm. They were giving it to him. They were giving him the coke to make, and he was turning a profit. And he got life, but he wound up getting out after a while with that argument. My case and his case was the same. They actually the government gave me marijuana to sell. And it was a substantial amount. We sold it. I got my end. But you cannot do that. You cannot give a substance and you go sell it and that substance goes out to the public. You cannot do that. They're supposed to arrest you way before that. They were supposed to arrest us way before we distributed and kept the money. Same with Freeway Ricky Ross. They made him sell it and keep the money.
But I don't understand what you mean they made you sell it. They gave it to you.
They gave it to you. Now they're supposed to, once they give it to you, that's where they arrest you. You're not supposed to take the stuff away and sell it. I mean, that's wrong. That's wrong. And they did that. Our two cases are the cases they did that.
Really?
Wait, but why? I mean, maybe I missed the story, but why is the government giving you stuff to sell?
Which they want to get you. When they want to get you, they're going to get you. They're going to get you.
Oh, so you didn't know that the person that you was
but
buying from was a government?
In legality terms, they're not supposed to do that. In other words, if I come to you and I say, here's this marijuana, go sell it, as soon as I hand it to you, and as soon as you acknowledge it, that's when they're supposed to arrest you.
Got you.
And you're supposed to take the substance government takes the substance back. The substance is not supposed to go out to the streets. Well, there's 2 cases in America they let that happen.
Yeah, yours and Freeway Ricky
Right,
Ross.
right.
So, do you remember the day that you got caught? Do you remember what you was doing that day? Can you walk us through that day? The
It
day
was
you got arrested?
September 19th, 1983. A very prominent business person that I didn't know was working with the feds. He got jammed up, and now he was looking for a way out, and made sure I met him, and that's when they arrested me. He got me to the meeting where I was going to be arrested.
How many pounds did you have on you? They said. Is it true that?
When I got arrested,
Yeah.
nothing. It was nothing. Just met a guy, and at a pool, at a hotel, and there were so many agents there. The bartenders were agents. There was girls swimming in the pool that were agents with guns in plastic bags. They had girls sunbathing that was agents. They had like 40 agents back there. Just me.
So that means they must have had. So they were investigating you then, basically.
They must have thought I was some bad dude.
No, so you get arrested, and once you get arrested, you take it to trial. You don't take it to trial. You tell them that your lawyers talks you into.
Well, when my book comes out or movie, you'll see it's a big, so much double cross, and I mean my life story has everything in the makings. It has the streets, it has drugs, it has the mob, it has courtroom double cross, it has prison, it has finally getting out.
Can I ask you a real question? Can I ask you a question? Did you consider yourself a part of the mob, George?
Yes, not mob, not in mob approval, but my dad, what your dad was, you were. So you got the respect. You didn't have to be in the mob. You know, back in the day, it made sense. I don't know if it makes sense anymore. So you didn't have to. If you were my brother and you were in it, that's enough.
Yeah.
As long as you don't. Listen, I don't care if you're in the mob, out of the mob, if you live on the streets, whether you're legitimate, somewhat legitimate, illegal. It's very simple. You don't lie and you don't cheat. And that's how you survive.
So they were supposed to give you 10 years, right?
My guidelines, government probation guidelines were 48 to 52 months. To be cruel, they could have took me 3 times over 52, which have been 15 years. To give me life, no parole, nonviolent first offender, was absolutely monstrous. Monstrous.
And what was their reason for doing that?
Well, there's so much. Like I said, I don't think we would have time on the show. There was so much. In my case, you had prosecutors going to Washington and saying things like they were going to bring down the Scarfo mob through my indictment. And then when the indictment came down, it was just a bunch of young guys with no records. So those prosecutors from Philly going to Washington and saying that their careers didn't go anywhere. So there was a lot of political
Nonsense.
Well, yeah, didn't go down like they told Washington. And let me tell you something, these people in the government, especially in the feds, you know, they'll stab each other in the back quick. So these prosecutors didn't deliver. So the only shot they had was pressure me, kept me in solitary. Hopefully I would break. So that didn't happen.
And they tried to get you to flip on tell them business about your dad and the family.
Yeah, they thought I knew tremendous secrets, was I didn't.
Understood. So now you're in jail. You get the time. You get how many years? It's life in prison without parole.
That means you come home in a body bag.
Got you. So bring us in the first, your first couple of years in prison. What was it like?
I was in solitary for 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
so you're in a hole. Some of the holes I were inhuman. I don't know if you know what a boxcar cell is.
We do.
It's a double steel door. Some of the boxcar cells I were in were actually condemned. They didn't even have toilets. They just had a hole in the floor, which sort of like a clutch on a car or a truck.
Mm-hmm.
And you would, just a hole in the floor, and then you hit the clutch, and then it runs water. And you better know how to jail with them kind of cells. First thing you better do is get a bucket, because at night them rats come up out of that hole. And it ain't not nice fighting rats 3, 4 in the morning.
That's
So
crazy.
I know all about hard time.
Why did they put you in solitary confinement, though?
Was ordered by the prosecutors. They were desperate to save their careers. They didn't deliver through my indictment.
So now you in prison. Do you get the same? Obviously, after the whole solitary, like you get the same love that you did when you were at home, as far as the family and the reputation from your dad.
Well, thank God, yeah, I had good. I never burned my bridges with my family or friends, so I had tremendous support. But the first 5 years was difficult because they didn't even know where I was most of the time. It was illegal to keep you in solitary. Now, if you cause infractions or you're violent, something like that, but I just was supposed to do my time.
That's all you was trying to do.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. Took years and years before I could finally got into a normal prison setting.
Wow.
So,
But, again, I'm happy to be on the show, but I want to make sure that the audience understands that it's not all about me, because better men and women had died in prison than I. Prison's not a guy thing. Everyone thinks prison's a guy thing. A lot of women have suffered and are still suffering. Just want to share that with the audience.
you, because you did a lot of positive things while you was in prison. Like you prevented a hijacking.
Yeah, I had a hijack in 2010. That wasn't nothing nice. That was one of the deciding factors upon my release. And of graduating 8,000 inmate students in my curriculum classes, that was another deciding factor. And all my programming. Matter of fact, I think Jay-Z right now is doing something big with a reentry program, helping guys come home. So I'm very familiar with reentry.
The hijack. Can you explain what happened with the hijacking? Like, how did that story behind that?
I don't know. I just was. I've been chained up in prison transports and buses back and forth to this country. You can't imagine after 32 years. I thought I was born. I felt like I was born in the cell, and the sink was my cradle. That's how. Didn't even think about the streets anymore. Anyway, I'm on a prison transport. When I know I got to travel, certain things I do, I stay up late, do a lot of working out, make myself good and tired. So you're chained up on a plane all day. You just want to sleep. And I felt something around my feet. I looked down. I thought it was a pen. And sure enough, I looked a little more, and it was a handcuff key, and I knew I'd probably be dead in a matter of seconds, because you ain't coming out of cuffs in a prison transport in America. You will be shot. You will be shot in seconds. Their marshals are trained. We have them laser sidearms. And I said, well, I'm going to die. And it was dropped there by some wasn't a marshal, contract worker. And there was some Somalian pirates behind me trying to get a hold of it. They didn't understand English. They didn't understand the consequences. you come out of them cuffs. We were in the back of the plane. It was past the Sally Port where they feed you. There was about 12 of us back there. The whole 12 of us would have been killed. So I happened to wrestle them out. I got the handcuff key. If I say, here's your handcuff key, I know I'm going to be killed in about 5-6 seconds. So I just threw it aside, and I told the marshal, here's your, better get this key. And I got the worst end out of it. I got hog-tied, and they call it Velcro wrap. They put you in a seat and they wrap you with a Velcro so you can't move, and they put a hood over your head. So I got the worst end out of that. And the plane lands, FBI is waiting for me. And I said to myself, you know what? They'll figure it out. And they threw me in a hole. A couple of days later, that's when they came. They said, we know what you did, Martorano. And I said, well, I need to document it. I need to document it. You know what I did? I need to document it. I need it for my warden. It took me 4 years to get it. Took me 4 years. So, like I said, you ain't coming out of leg irons, and it's a speed key. I don't know if you know what a speed key is. It's about 3 inches long with a grip. Speed key means it unlocks your handcuffs and leg irons. It's one set. And you ain't coming out of that.
When did it get easy for you in prison? Like, when was it things
Never gets easy, because over the years you start losing loved ones. Never gets easy. So you just got to keep going, stay strong, keep going, exercise, eat right, occupy your body and your mind. I don't know how I do it. I don't know how I did it sometimes.
Yeah.
Today I'm out here, I don't know how I did it.
Did you meet anybody in jail that kind of like was your like mentor or helped you out throughout the way through your time?
Nah, I never was much of a follower. I was always a leader. I created my own way, but John Gotti was my cellie for 2 years. And I was a rare characters. Rare characters. So,
what was he like?
John was a gentleman, and shame what happened to him. I think they could have took care of his illness. I think they just let him languish.
You think that was intentional?
Well, he had what you call everything had to be approved by Washington with him. In other words, if he had to go to an outside doctor. So they just, the chain of command just took all its time. I understand that, I don't know verbatim, but I understand the family was told if they had him sooner than later, it could have prevented it. Doctors told the family that. With the cancer, yes.
And he was a gentleman. You enjoyed being in the.
Oh yeah, very very intelligent man. He read unbelievable books. Very intelligent.
Wow.
But he was, he was a gangster's gangster. You know what I mean? He'll hold you in the fire with his own hands and not worry about burning them off. That's the kind of man he was.
But don't you find it strange? And this is to the people, like, don't you find it? We find it very curious that a guy like George could just hang out with John Gotti, no problem, man. You smooth too.
He knew who I was.
Yeah, of course.
He knew who my dad was.
Yeah.
I was doing the commission trial. That was the biggest mob trial of 1987. That was the biggest mob trial in history. That's what made Giuliano become mayor. He was the prosecutor. It was the commission trial. So we were all together up there.
But in your book,
MCC New York, yeah.
And your book talks about, you have a book coming out that talks about all that gives us play by play and stuff.
I have written many books. I have written 31 books, but my book hasn't come out yet because I haven't optioned it. Looking to option it right now.
Wow. So moving forward, you now prison not easy. How do you start the programs that you started? Save that. Your father passed away. How did that affect you? You were in prison. How did that affect you?
Well, I did his eulogy. The warden approved for me to do his eulogy. I wrote a beautiful eulogy in a poem called "Lions Love Last," and actually it was published in the Philadelphia Daily News. So
That's nice.
So the warden what we did is we went live right into the funeral parlor in Philly from a prison Owing, Louisiana. So I did the eulogy live. So yeah, they don't let you visit your loved ones. Them days are gone, way gone.
Really?
Yeah, no, you're not going to go visit a funeral, nothing like that. They stopped all that.
They do it now, though. I think, right? I think they do it now.
He was in a fed. He was federal, so I guess.
They do it, but very rare. The only way they would do it today, if you're at a camp, you're at a camp facility, but they're very rare. Then you would, even if they do it, you would have to pay for the marshals for the day.
You start these programs. So you said you graduate
Over 8,000 inmates. Students,
What was the program? Can you tell us something?
Reentry. I'm proud to say I actually created reentry with the Bureau of Prisons. We created in the Coleman Complex in Central Florida. What happens is in '87 they took the parole away. So there was no programs because no one was getting out. You had to do 2/3 of your sentence. So so finally someone in Washington said, you can't do this. We're keeping them in longer, but you still have to have programs getting them released to back to society. Then we started reentry, and then it grew into a big budget. I hope it's still going today. My proudest class that I designed was Fathers Behind Bars, and when I left, it was still going. Then I heard it was still going. Proud of that, which takes estranged fathers, inmate fathers, and try to get them back with their children. So we did that program.
This guy is good, guys. He's good. You're a professional. You're a professional, George. You're good. Sharp.
Well, I taught that in prison because, you had to be polished. You had to know how to talk. The guy gets out of jail, they'll spend a fortune to keep you, but they let you out of jail with $20.
Yeah?
They'll let you out of jail with nothing. So that's why they try to train these guys. The only thing you're going to have is yourself when you're out there. So you got to know how to talk, how to dress. So I taught that.
Did you ever feel like you were going insane? Did you ever feel like you were losing yourself inside?
Oh yeah, there was. You had to fight against yourself. Any guy that, to me, anybody that don't think they're going to humble themselves to the Lord, when you're never coming home. Yeah, I wouldn't call him a liar, but I know what it is. A true man humbles himself before the Lord.
And there's something that I wanted to ask you. You said that a couple of minutes ago we were talking about what characters that you met in prison that you heard about out here that they did that end up being different in prison. So when you hear stories about, for example, you hear stories about John Gotti, you guys know each other, but I know you said you've been going through a lot of prison, so I know you had to meet some crazy criminals. Do you remember any of them you met that might have been on the news? That was when you met them, they were different, they were kind, or,
Wow, geez, so many. One of my workout buddies was, I don't think it was his name, they gave him a name, Darryl Holmes. Well, he was my workout buddy. Very handsome man, thin, about 5'11". Anyway, he cut 3 people's heads off in the Colorado system. He cut a guard's head off, and inmates head off and a psychologist head off. This guy was so dangerous.
What?
Yeah, Darrell Holmes. So he was my workout buddy for a while, and he was something. But when he told the warden that day, he said, "Warden, I did all your programming. I've been here over 3 years, and I didn't cause you any trouble. Now I want to go back to the Colorado system, prison system. And if you don't, somebody's head's coming off." So he told the warden, very casual. And the warden said, please, Holmes, don't do anything. Don't do anything. Well, the warden leaves. Now our cells crack and you work out. 5 guys, 5 cells crack at a time, open up. You got to go out in a chair and work. I got to go out in a chair, work out with him. Well, I had a towel around my neck that day. And he looked at me. He said, George, listen, one thing. I would never cut your head off. You don't need to wrap that towel around your neck.
He literally cut.
Yeah, he cut your head off. Yeah.
With what?
A knife, prison knife.
Yeah, George, you was around some crazy guys, George.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, he was very mild mannered, but when he said head's coming off, a head was coming off. But the warden came in the very next day. That was a Saturday when he told the warden that. The warden came in Saturday with his leisure clothes on. He says, Darrell, he said, Holmes, Darrell Holmes, I spoke to the governor of Colorado. I'll have you out of here in no more than 10 working days. Please don't do anything. Don't cut nobody's head off.
That's crazy.
It also said you stopped the riot.
Jeez, which one?
Oh, wow.
Which one?
He involved in everything, huh?
I mean, how do you do these things?
When I tell my life story, I went to Marion, Illinois, which was the worst prison in America. It had 370 of the worst guys. And I had more. These guys had bodies in the jail, out the jail. They made a movie about these guys, the Aryan Brotherhood, the original Aryan Brotherhood. This documentary, Barry Mills and T.D. Bingham. Then you had the American Me, Mexican Mafia. These were all the originators of these gangs. Well, guess what? I had more time than they did. I had more time than everybody there.
Wow.
I had life, no parole. No one was in there with life, no parole. All their lives were parolable. That means they wouldn't have did 30 years, but all their lives were parolable. So these guys couldn't figure this out. They said, wait a minute, you got more time than us and you're a nonviolent first offender. And they kept saying, there's something wrong. And I used to show them my paperwork. I said, there's nothing wrong. So I finally got tired because they weren't the smartest guys in the world. I finally got tired. I said, you know what? I'm a assassin for the CIA. Oh, yeah, see, we knew. So...
And you was around all these guys. I mean, I see the Aryan Brotherhood. I see you was around all these guys and
Barry Mills,
T.D.
T.D. Bingham, Champ, Black Bob. These were all head of the Mexican Mafia. So when I left that prison, went to any other prison, I always knew the worst of the worst and got a lot of respect. So, and it just grew from there. But I always did. Never got in the gang culture. I got in the education culture. I always felt that, helping the young guys was important.
Speaking of gangs, like what kind of gangs were there back then at that time?
Oh, my God. Christ. Every prison had 8, 9 gangs. They have gang day.
Yeah.
Penitentiary is called gang day. Well, the warden actually approves the gangs to meet in the yard.
Wow.
Gang day.
And do what?
They discuss their prison politics.
Yeah, George, get out of here.
Yeah, they have gang day.
So
What kind of gangs were there at that time, though?
You name it. Every gang you can you name every kind. Black gangs, white gangs, Spanish gangs, Asian gangs. You name it.
You ever heard of Thomas Silverstein?
Yeah, Tommy. Yeah, he's.
I wrote him before a long time ago. And he wrote me back.
Yeah.
Well, he's a guy. I don't know
Got
if
the
he's
letter.
still alive. No, he's still alive. Yeah, the other guy died, Fountain. He's a young guy, young white guy, got caught up in the prison system, went away with a little bit of time, killed the guy, got more time, got into that. And, when you do hard time like I did, two things are going to happen. And you can either to the left, you're going to become a beast, or to the right, you're going to become better. I call it the two B's, beast or better. And I, with so many beasts, when you look in their eyes, there's nothing there anymore. And I said to myself, I'm not going to become that. So I had to fight against that. I'm not going to become a beast. And sad to say, America, we're the only country that creates an awful lot of beasts due to the fact that we incarcerate more than any country for longer amounts of time.
Amen. Bring us to the day you got the, because you did a lot of appeals. When you found out you were going home, how long before you were released did you find out?
I was released. Matter of fact, I just had an anniversary on October the 5th was the day I walked out. But I found out on the 2nd, October the 2nd, found out at 7:30 at night that the order was signed, but I had to go through a workday process, so I couldn't get out on a Saturday or Sunday. I had to wait till Monday. So I knew I was coming home, but a law just came down. It's called the 2-point reduction. There was a law that just came down, and certain individuals qualified. And I knew I was going home, but I had two old-timers in their 80s that didn't get this done. They were procrastinating. Anyway, instead of worrying about freedom, I actually worked all that weekend and getting their motions in. So I really didn't think about going home until Monday morning. Because I really had to work hard to get these motions in for these two old-timers. So, and then Monday I finally got out. I held my first cell phone on October the 5th because they weren't invented when I went away.
Wow.
So I actually had two cell phones driving out of the prison. Well, the whole world wanted to talk to me, so I had one cell phone in one ear, the other cell phone in the other. But I never held one till that day.
Wow. Now coming home, like what in your mind personally, like did you want to do on your first day out? You had any plans?
Well, we had family. I did my acclimation in St. Pete, Florida, acclimation of freedom. So my sister lives there, two sisters there. Mm-hmm. So the family was there, and we cooked and ate and hung out. And I just loved getting up in the morning and just getting lost in the world. Walk in and run, and I'd be going for 5-6 hours, all over St. Pete Beach, parks downtown. Just wanted to be free. So my first time I went out, I got all dressed up. I went downtown St. Pete and was having a nice time, and had a few drinks. So I said, where could I get a cab? And they said, just go by the park there. Everyone gets an Uber there. So I didn't know what to. So I go to the park and I see some limos and cars, and I'm saying, hey, who's Uber? Are you Uber? And one guy says, where you been? He says, Uber's not a person, it's a service. I was asking for Uber.
So tell us how you start you have a store.
Hip Hemp Cafe?
Hip Hemp Cafe.
I opened the Hip Hemp Cafe in January. Matter of fact, we're on the full renovation right now. Did okay. We're just upgrading it to a more pristine, clinical effect. Reason I did it, Hip Hemp Cafe, because Pennsylvania has the best CBD laws in the country. We have the best CBD laws. CBDs are legal in 50 states, but every state has the right to decide how you can consume it. Pennsylvania is the best. We're better than New York. New York is not there yet.
So the Hip Hop Cafe is basically what? Can you tell us about the cafe? Can you tell us about it?
We have everything CBD. We have coffee, teas, cold drinks, CBD water. We have CBD We have CBD pastry of all types. We have CBD items. We have CBD flour. So it's a complete,
crazy.
full-fledged, total, everything in the place is CBD. So, again, Pennsylvania is the best state to do it.
It's the best.
So
Real quick, because we're gonna wrap it up in a little bit. Give us a day, how it is being you. Like what do you do throughout the day now?
I get up very early, no matter what. I don't care if I don't have much sleep. I'm up very early. I take 2 cold showers a day. I've been doing that for Christ, over 30 years. And
You still do it?
yeah, cold shower, run every morning. A lot of times I run to all my appointments, which can cover 10, 12 miles a day. Run to all my appointments.
Jeez. That's
Of course,
my game
you
up,
can't drive, you can't park, especially doing Center City.
Get outta here.
So I run to all my appointments and
Healthy
take
guy,
care of
man.
me. It's just busy meetings. But I always take time to interact with. I have what you call. I'm an intervention dash specialist. So there's some people that have problems in their life. I give time to interact, discuss things. You just keep busy. Keep busy.
How can you help somebody today that's suffering from PTSD or
Well, I have as an educator, mentor, I have a certain way to do things. First of all, I want to get to know he or she, not discuss anything, because if he or she doesn't like you, you're not going anywhere. So you got to get that individual to like you
Right.
as a person, and vice versa, and then you go from there.
I agree.
Interesting.
So let me ask you a question. How do you think your life would be, if you weren't brought up in the family that you were brought up in, with your dad and everything like that? How do you think your life would be?
That's a lot of things. People tell me that I'm intelligent and this and that, and if I could have went another way, but I disagree. I could have went the other way. I had a scholarship. I just chose to.
The temple, you said, right?
Yeah, I could have been a lawyer, whatever. I just chose to. I worked and then I went to. I was only illegal 3 years, but still I was illegal for 3 years.
Who taught you how to answer questions, George? Who taught you how to answer questions, how to be media trained? You've been
Oh
incarcerated.
Christ
for 32
Almighty!
years.
But you have. I graduated 400 students every season of the year, so if you can't address your class, you're not a teacher. If you can't move your class emotionally and educationally, so
You're a smart man, George.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're a smart man. You didn't fold, as we say in the hood. And you stood strong, and you taught others, which was important. I think that's dope. Is there a message you want to give the people before we sign out?
Yes, I thank you for that. It's very important.
Of course. I mean,
Today, there's so much situations where young people, middle-aged people, not too much older, young people, that they give up. They're giving up. Either they go to opioids or from opioids they lose their life, suicides and stuff like that. And it's all starts with a repetitive thought. So something's bothering you, some kind of question in your head, some kind of thought in your head, and you try to get away from it. So this, I want to tell everyone out there, when you do have a repetitive thought, don't take it as something detrimental or negative. That means you care. Even though this thing's popping in your head a lot, don't let it tear you down. It means you care. It means you're a person that cares. So look at it in that light and take it from there and grow with it. We have so much derogation today.
He's a smooth guy, man.
Real quick, because we're going to sign out now. Ladies, how can the ladies get in contact?
Ladies, well, I do date.
Oh.
But relationships are hard when you do. Be truthful. When you do 32 years, prison relationships are hard for me because I had to stay Spartan. I had to stay tough. I had to stay sharp. So to survive, I had to survive.
Right.
I was in the worst prisons known to man in this country. So now you come home and relationships is hard. But I'm a gentleman.
What kind of females are you into?
Excuse me?
What kind of females are you into?
Females?
What's your type?
Jeez.
For any females that's watching right now that might be, maybe interested. You never know.
Listen, as long as they can cook and laugh, I'll rock and roll.
I like it. I like it.
On that note, man, we want to thank you
My pleasure.
for coming on the show. You answer questions well. You didn't allow us to dig. You're very smart. But I'm going to get your book because I know you're going to expose a lot of stuff that I want to know. Yep. You answered well. You
Smart
were
guy.
taught well. You're a very smart guy.
Just remember, stay loyal to your nightmare of choice.
Wow.
Wow. That's real.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out if he's... That was a nice one. He cool, man. He cool. That line did it. That line did it. He cool, man.
We're going to sign out. Can you tell the people where to find you at, the websites and everything?
Well, yeah, hiphempcafe.com. That's about the easiest way. My branding site is not up yet. But all my CBD brands will be under my name. So that's it. I'm in Philly. Anytime you just want to see me, you can just contact the show. Flip the script, and they'll get a hold of me. Anything that we can do to help others.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
I think that's important that you want to spread the message to the youth and help them and guide them in the right direction.
Yes.
That's dope. G-Money?
Yo, man, I just want to say, like, this is by far a shot at any of our guests. But, like, when you come to this platform, like, you have the option to speak how you want to speak. You know what I mean? Like, we don't force upon any answers or any, stories or opinions or views of your lifestyle or your past. So, and this show is a perfect example of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he spoke about what he wanted to speak about, and we respect it. And it was still a good story. It was still good content. And we try to push as much as we can, but is what you give us is what we're gonna take on the show. You know what I mean? So salute to my man George for coming up here. Appreciate you, man.
The cowboy. Yeah, he answered. He answered well.
Yes.
Hold
Thank
on,
you.
George. Let us sign out. We almost done, Joe. We almost done. Yeah, George is ready to get him out of here. Listen, man, I just want to say, I want to thank George and thank everybody for coming in.
His team and all that.
His team, man. Salute to them
Salute to
for
them
bringing
all
him in
time.
here. Fridays, Fishbowl Fridays.
Fishbowl Fridays, every Friday.
Yeah.
They know, Yeah, they see
Flip the script.
Flip the script.
DJ G Money 156
on the IG. You know what I'm saying?
That's Queens Flip, man. I enjoyed this interview. I like a challenge, and George, he stood strong, man. A man with wisdom. I tried to pry. The crowbar wasn't strong enough for old George, old George, man. But I'll say I appreciate it, and lock your doors, close your windows, close your blinds, open your blinds. If you see a man like George on your lawn, you don't need a firearm. No, let him in. He'll talk to you all night long.